students, it's Mr. Routhier. Well, we are coming up here on part 2 of the all boxed up game, and we've got our stage all set up. We've got our frame filled in with all our goodies, and now we just need to program it. Very cool. Alright, well, we know to program it. We use the event editor, which is, now remember how to open the game, right? File, open, find your game, or you can do right here. You can see all the games that you've done right here. Okay, we're going to switch to the event editor, and if you remember, right, looks like this, event editor. Alright, look at all those great objects we have in our game. Okay, first, it'd be nice if the crates and Ken and everything would stop when they hit, the backdrop or each other. So let's put all of those events in. Okay, let's start with a new condition, and we're gonna say, hey, when this crate hits the ground, collision with the backdrop, then let's make the crate stop. Okay, remember, you just have to kind of pay attention to where these things intersect, right? When the click, so right under the crate, we'll say movement stop. Okay, when the Ken collides with the backdrop, Ken should stop too. Movement stop. Excellent. Now, how about when, you'll be able to fire these things kind of rapid fire. So what happens when Ken has a collision with another object, which is Ken? I know that sounds weird, but they can hit each other. Well, let's have Ken stop. All right, what if a crate collides with another crate? So we have to think of all of the possible collision things that can happen. Okay, so we'll right click on the crate and we'll say collision with another object, which is the crate, and we'll have the crate stop. Movement stop. Okay, I think there's only one left. What happens? Can you guess what it is? What happens when Ken has a collision with another object, this time the crate? So what happens when these two hit each other? Well, we'll have them both stop. Movement stop under the crate, and then under Ken we'll say movement stop. Okay, so now if we play the game, everything should just sit there and not doing anything. Excellent. Very nice. It's an exciting game so far, isn't it? Woohoo! Okay. The next thing we want to do is we want to be able to get Ken into the game. And what we're going to do is we're going to fire him off with a mouse click. We're going to use that detector object too. We're going to have Ken is going to fire at wherever we put the mouse, and we're going to attach the mouse, we're going to attach the detector object to the mouse and say, wherever you see that detector object, fire at it. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, let's create a new condition, and this is going to be an always condition. And what this thing is going to do is it's going to force that little, this thing right here, the direction object that we created, it's going to force it to stick to the mouse position. Okay, so let's do this. New condition. And on this gear right here, called special, just right click and say always. So this just always happens. Wherever your mouse pointer is, it's going to follow, that little detector object is going to follow it. Okay, and how do we do that? Well, let's go to the red box right here. Come on down and say its position will match where the mouse is. So we're going to set the X coordinate. And you remember what to do. We'll type in X mouse. And see, this went green. And then we'll write, see, now it says set position X to X mouse. And now let's do position Y. Position, set Y coordinate, Y mouse. Why not? That was funny. Okay. Alright, so that gets our direction object sticking to our mouse cursor. Good. We still haven't shot anything yet, though. We're just kind of setting up to shoot. The next thing we want to do is we want to be able to determine the speed at which we fire. Remember that little power meter box that we had in the game? This thing right here. We want to be able, and we set that so the minimum is 140, the maximum is 255. This is going to be the power, and we're going to be able to change that number by clicking the plus and minus sign. All right, so let's see how to do that. Okay. All right, new condition. And let's go to the mouse and keyboard. Right click on that. We're going to choose the mouse. And then we are going to choose check for mouse pointer over an object. And that object is going to be the plus sign. Okay, so now we're saying when the mouse pointer is hovering over the plus sign, but we need more than that too, right? We don't want we'll just be accidentally clicking it like crazy. We want to actually put that we click on it too. So let's add another condition on there. And to add a second condition, you can either right click on here and say insert, or you can right click over the number and say add a new condition. They both do the same thing. Okay, so add a new condition, and we're going to say, we're back to the mouse, and we'll say repeat while mouse key is pressed. And we'll choose the left button. So what this says is when the mouse pointer is over the plus sign and while you're left clicking it, then we want the power meter to go up. So let's go on over to the power meter. See it right there? And the power meter is actually a counter. So we're going to go to that counter and we're going to say add to counter. And we're just going to put a 2 in here. So when you hover over this thing and click it, the power goes up by 2. All right, now we need to do the same thing with the subtraction button, correct? Oh yeah, that's right, Mr. Routhier. Okay. So let's do the same thing. Let's right click here and we'll go to mouse. And we'll say check for the mouse pointer over an object, and we'll go to the subtraction this time. And then we'll do it again. We'll insert mouse, repeat while mouse key is pressed, left button, and here we'll drive the thing. We'll subtract from the counter 2. Excellent. Okay, so if we play this game now, we should be able to bring the counter up and down. Nice. Isn't that delightful? So delightful. Okay. Good. All right. I think we're finally ready to shoot Ken at the crates. Yeah, we're going to start having this Angry Bird feeling as we do this. Okay. So another condition. Let's go. I'm going to write here. and we are going to go back to the mouse, and we will say when the user clicks the mouse. Now, we already are using the left key mouse button to adjust our power, so we're going to use the right button to fire. Okay, so this says when the user clicks the right button. One other thing we want to double check is we're only going to give 3 lives to start. If you want to add to that later on, you can. So we want to make sure that the user has lives left. So in this same spot, we're going to insert a second condition that says, hey, do you have any more lives? Okay, so we're going to go over the player 1 thing, and because remember that's where the lives and the score is, right? And we'll say when the number, what will we say? Compare to player's number of lives. And we'll say, is the number of lives, see that equal sign? Let's go down here to greater. Is it greater than 0? Okay, see that? So user right clicks and the number of lives is greater than 0, then it's going to fire our good friend Ken at wherever the mouse is. Alright, so we got that, and now the first thing that has to happen is Ken needs to be created on the board because he's not there. So remember this. This is the create new object. So come on down to the bottom and we'll say create an object. And this object is Ken. Okay, now where is Ken going to be started? See right here, it's saying he's going to be in the center. Let's put Ken over off the board. So he appears here and then he'll fire from way over here. Okay, that sound good to you? Sounds good to me. The next thing that we want to do is we want to say where Ken is. No. This is it. We'll create the object here and we'll say OK. Okay, so that's our first thing. We've created Ken off the screen. Okay, secondly, we want Ken to be pointing in the direction of our direction object, which is attached to the mouse cursor. So we're going to come down to the, down to Ken here, and we're going to say the direction that he's going to move. Well, we'll have him look in the direction. Look in the direction of, and we'll say relative to the direction object, the little red box. Okay, so now Ken has been created and he is pointed at the mouse. Okay, now we need to make him move, right? So we'll right click in here again and we'll say movement, and we want to set his speed to whatever the speed is on our power meter. Right? Right, sounds good. Okay, so the speed on his power meter, let's see, here's the power meter right here. This is going to be whatever the value is of this. So if you just right click on this power meter and you say current value, notice that it puts value power meter up here. Okay, that's just whatever number's in there. Okay, if you've got that going to like 212, that'll be the number. All right, so we have speed, position, creation, the direction it's going, and the last thing we need is after we fire it off, we want to subtract a life. So let's go to the player 1 thing. We know that's where lives are controlled, right? Right click, number of lives, subtract, and we'll put a 1 there. Okay, isn't that fabulous? Alright, this game's getting pretty complicated, isn't it? Alright, so if we test this now, we can crank this thing up, and we can right-click and fire! Whee! Okay, isn't that cool? One last one. Yay, we got them all. Hooray. Oh, with no score, though. Wham! And those things went off the side. So we need to fix that. Okay, we don't want the boxes going off the side or Ken going off the side. So, again, we have to create a new condition that says, hey, if Ken tries to leave the board, don't let him. Okay, so let's say if Ken position, and let's test his position. If he tries to go off the board, we click the arrow going to the right. Then make him stop. Ken, stop. Don't do it. Ken, stay here with us. And let's do the same thing with the boxes. So if the box and its position, let's test its position, and it goes off to the right, then stop the box. Okay, let's test it. Crank it up. Pew! Oops. Okay, well that was weird. Come on. Okay, I think I need a slightly new strategy there. That's kind of weird, huh? Okay. All right, anyway, but now they're not running away, are they? Okay, next thing we need is a way to record the score. And we're going to use these things called flags. I'm not going to explain this like really great, but basically we're going to set flags on the boxes. And the flag can be on or it can be off. And when the box falls down, we'll turn the we'll change the position, we'll change the setting on the flag, and that's how we'll count the points. Okay, so to do that, let's go down. We're going to create another new condition. And let's see. So it's going to be all about the crate. Let's take a look. Before we do this, I want you to see something. I want you to notice that the ground, if you look down here in this area on the Y, you can see this ground is right like between 240 and like 285 or something. So basically, to get the points, you've got to get this crate below the ground. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if the crate comes down in this area over 300, 300, see 300, 400, between 300 and 430 is where it hits the ground. I'm just going to say if it goes over 300, then you're going to get the 100 points. Okay, so let's go back here. All right, so we're going to test the crate. I'm going to create a new condition, and we're going on the crate, and we're going to test the position of the crate and say, hey, let's see. And we don't care where it goes sideways. We only care on the y-axis. That's the up and down. So we just want to see if it's falling down. So we will compare the y position to a value. And we'll say if it's greater than, see my little box here, 300. Okay, so the y position is greater than 300. Now we also need, we could leave it this way and it might work okay, but in some scenarios it might not work where, maybe the ball bounces, or it could, if it got stuck or something, it could like generate a glitch where it created infinite points and stuff. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that the box is only counted once. And we're going to use the flag to do that. So you're just going to right click in here, and you're just going to add a new condition. And you're going to say crate, and we'll go down to alterable value. We're going to go down to flags, and we're going to say, is the flag off? We're going to leave 0 in there. And now with that, let's see. Now we need to respond, and we say, well, first of all, we're going to turn the flag. If the flag is set to off, we're going to set it on. So on the crate. So let's find my little crate thing here. Right click, flags, set on. And then we're going to add score to us. Oh, and then leave that 0. That's good. And then let's find our little player thing for the score. And we'll say score, add to score, 100 points. Okay, so now when we try this thing, we should be able to get some points. Okay, 1, 2, 3 boxes. Good. So as the boxes crossed this line around 300 pixels from the top on the y-axis, we got the points. Okay, there's another one. 400. Okay, and we got 500 points. Now here's the problem. This 300 line must be right around here. This little guy is preventing those two from crossing the line, so we didn't get the points for those. So anyway, so that's how it works. Obviously, you just made this game, so if you want to have more lives or more boxes or whatever, you can change it with that. But good work. I hope yours worked properly. Make sure you save. And thanks for listening to me. Bye-bye now.